pleased to welcome back LP.
Hello.
We are so glad you're here. We're so glad you're back.
I'm so glad I'm back. Thank you.
We were talking before that I'd actually looked it up, and it's been 3 years since you were here.
It has.
I know you have to hold that. I get the stand because I have to hold these things, so it's a little odd doing that. But I want to talk a little bit about the new record, and then we'll probably wind the videotape back a little bit. So Forever for Now, I read that you started out with something like 40 songs that were kind of ruminating, or you were working on. What process do you go through to figure out, well, this works and maybe this doesn't?
There's so many things, There's like things like just time for one, like where things are at. Like sometimes I'm like a keep moving person, and sometimes when something, like you just on to the next thing sometimes, and sometimes it's just sounds. It's like you are, trying to put a group of songs together that sound right, and then sometimes it's also people. It's like people involved with the record, producers, label people, and yourself, and a lot of management, and there's lots of opinions, and everyone's trying to make a great record. So it gets put in a certain.
Do you find that as you're working on a song, that if for some reason it's fighting back, for whatever, whether it's you, whether it's the musicians or whatever, maybe it's best to just move on, or are you more inclined to try and grind through it and make it work?
It depends. I usually do grind through it because I don't know, some songs come like that, and they're amazing, and I think sometimes people decide like that's the only way to write a song, and I think sometimes they're right, but sometimes I think for me I've noticed that it doesn't always, like I'll rewrite a chorus a few times and then it's right, or I'll just really shed on the lyrics and it's really slow and difficult. Yeah. And then it's right, but I would tend to think that just as far as for me, for lack of like killing myself more, I'm gonna go with the first one. And just like it when it's good, just go with it. Did
you as you were putting together the group of songs for the record, and perhaps going back a little bit, a couple of years to things that you had written and maybe set aside, did you come across songs that were like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot about that. That's particularly great.
I mean, there was one song that I think the first single on this record, Night Like This, that I never thought would be on the record because it was supposed to go to somebody else. It was bought by Shakira, and I didn't even. I was like, oh yeah, I could see Shakira doing that, and then it was put, and then we played it. I played it for Rob, and he really wanted it on the record. So.
And at that point, does he say, sorry, Shakira, you can't have it?
Yeah. And she was like, what? I'm taking that song. I was like, no, you're not. Anyway,
Neener.
Truth be told, I think I'd like to have heard what she would have done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an interesting dichotomy with you in terms of you write for others, you write with others, you write songs for yourself. And I've read recently that you feel you have a much better understanding of what works for you. So in terms of your songwriting, like now there are songs, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when you write them, this one's for me.
Yeah, I think I do. Now I'm like in another place with it, actually because I had never transitioned back. It's a weird thing because I was just an artist, like just writing for myself. Then I started writing for other people. Then I started writing for myself, and now I have to and now I'm doing both. So actually, that question is more of a question for now, and I don't know where I'm going with that right now. I'm in transition, like in transition, songwriting wise, and yeah, I think I'm gonna go, and I think I'm trying to just I'm just trying to write right now. You know, like I'm trying not to go there in my head, because I did notice it was a bit taxing to go back and forth,
Right.
especially when I was in the throes of making this record and writing for other people a bit. You know, I went right away and started writing for other people, and it like messed with my head a little bit
While you were making this record.
right at the end.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so now I'm kind of just writing. I'm just like, you know, it doesn't matter who it's for, and I'll just like what I mean is I'll write for me
Yeah.
the whole time,
Yeah.
and just be like, whatever happens happens. I notice that more of my songs get picked up that I write for myself sometimes too.
So when you're writing, you're not necessarily thinking about, this is a song that I'm writing for artist X.
Right.
And what they may sound like in your
you know,
head.
I could like turn around and tell you something different tomorrow. I'm a liar.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We don't mind. Are you disciplined about writing? Are you writing every day?
Disciplined where I show up at the session, yeah. That's a good thing for me. I just have to show up, you know. But like sometimes writing myself, like if someone said I had to write a song myself every day, that would probably be a good exercise for me, actually.
Not something you do regularly, though.
I'm gonna do that.
Let's wind we're going to wind the clock back a little bit. In that, those of us kind of in the Grammy family you came to our attention when you performed at the Grammy Foundation's Music Legacy concert about the Grammy year 2011, I believe, and kind of knocked everyone sideways. You performed at the show, and then afterwards you were here. And at that time, East West was, I think it was out at that point, or had just come out. Yeah. And there was definitely kind of a shift in your career in terms of attention. Warner Brothers got involved. Talk a little bit about, for you, as an artist, what that did for you. Or
well,
to you, as the
I
case
think
may
it
be.
makes you feel like you're not crazy, maybe.
Well, yeah.
You know, in one way. I mean, it's always nice. It's always nice to be recognized for any kind of work. You know, I think any artist appreciates it. So yeah, I mean, it is great. It was really nice.
Yeah. Your collaborations with other writers. You've had the chance to write with some pretty, and I took down some of those names: Desmond Child, Billy Mann, Matthew Garrard, Billy Steinberg. These are songwriters of note, and I'm wondering what you took away, what you learned in working with those folks.
I learned a lot of things as far as just I don't know. I learned some things you can't really like talk about, like that are like and I think that I learned the discipline that you're talking about, and I also learned that you write a lot of bad songs even when you're a world-class songwriter. It's like you listen to a song and you're like, oh, dude. Like,
Is there some comfort in that?
yes,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much so, for
Yeah.
sure. That like it's a huge comfort, and it's a huge. I think that's part of it. That you have to know that it's always going to be like that. For every 100 songs, there might be one or there might not. You don't know, and those who persevere and keep writing the songs, they're the ones that get through. You just never know. Sometimes you spend an hour in a room with someone and you go home, you forget about it, or you don't care, and that's the one. You don't know.
How are you as a collaborator? Because you have written with other
Amazing.
I knew
unreal.
that. I knew that. I knew that.
You should. I'm good.
the process of songwriting collaboration is, it works in different ways for different people. For you, when you walk into a room, perhaps with a songwriter whom you don't know necessarily that well, what's that? How's that introduction work?
It's tough, I always say that it's like kind of like the first day of school every day. You just wonder if that person likes you, and sometimes I've had these like great introductions. Like we sit down, we're like, hey, blah 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 blah, we're like happy, we like bounce to the coffee shop and talk, like, and then we get back, meh, nothing.
Nothing.
And then I walk in, I'm like, I don't like this dude, or it's cold, he's cold, or she's cold, or whatever. And then it's amazing.
Bang.
I don't know. So I've learned not to like kind of have any kind of, I'm talking like that's how I used to feel about it. Now I just go in and just accept, it's like, it's kind of amazing to meet. It's unlike many ways of meeting someone that you walk in a room and you do this very intimate thing that you don't have to take your clothes off for. Well, I'm sure some people take their clothes off. But
in the 70s, there was a lot of that.
yeah. I mean, even now, sometimes I'm like just the co-writer, and like there's an artist in the room, and I just watch this person work the other person in the room, and I'm like,
This
like
is
so
good.
that's what it's like to be some hot little girl with a producer. It's like he never acts like that around me.
Has your approach to songwriting changed over time? I mean, you've been doing this a while now.
Yeah, I mean it's well, I actually, yeah, one of the things that I do that I have to like not do too much is I sort of lean on, I'm good with melody, like I can like kind of blurt out a melody over anything, and I've learned that some of the best things for me, the best songwriting thing for me is having a title or a concept. I've learned that I feel like I'm painting myself in a corner when I don't. It's I would be like have all this great melodic content or some great bunch of words for a verse, and then I'm just lost on a chorus. And then that is often a problem for me, like if I have a problem. That's the one thing that I'm like kind of learning to like avoid.
Well, I know for, a song like Tokyo Sunrise, setting aside the melodic content or even the lyric, just the title is so evocative that.
Well, the thing that happened with that is when I was doing the melody, the like, and I said, what the hell am I gonna put in there? And such a weird little and then I felt weird, but the melody had like an Asianish kind of thing to it,
right.
and I just was, but then like I don't know, like it really fit into a story of my life, so I just wrote it around that. But yeah, I actually, when I first did that melody, I didn't have a concept or anything on that one. Into the Wild just came out of my mouth, and I just kind of went like, can I do that, because it was already a piece of work,
Yeah.
But yeah, Tokyo just kind of went like, I just shedded it out, and it worked out. I don't know.
For you, is it and this is sometimes a sort of a cliched question to ask a songwriter, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Music or lyrics that really trigger something for you first?
Oh,
melody or
gosh,
lyrics.
it depends on the song, but I think the thing that really triggers something in me is when I catch a lyric and the melody, and they both mean the same thing. Like a person that spoke another language could understand what that song was about sometimes. That's when I'm really like immediately drawn to a song. And but I would say probably a melody, because I always use this analogy that melody to me is like a hot girl. I'm going to say it, a hot woman. And
I don't think anyone's shocked.
Yeah, no, are you shocked?
I don't think anyone's
I'm
shocked.
going to just say it. and I think it's like the looks of the person, woman. That's the melody to me. Like that's the immediately like head turner, and then the lyric is like getting to know that person. And if the lyric's not there after the melody, then it might just be a one-night stand for that song. I mean, I'll give the song a chance, but you know, just maybe 1 or 2 times, maybe 3.
Buy it a drink.
Exactly.
You know.
Or breakfast.
Yeah.
That's just
You've said a couple times, you know, I've read that songwriting changed for you seemingly a little bit when you started with the ukulele.
yeah, it did. I mean, I'm actually noticing that when I switch around instruments, even like I've been playing this baritone ukulele now that's like bigger, slightly bigger.
I like that.
Yeah, I love it. And it's been like putting some song ideas in my head and stuff, and even going back to guitar a bit. I will on this next record probably, and new instruments kind of dig some stuff out.
Yeah,
So
cool.
the ukulele also I you know I still love you, man. Don't worry. But yeah, so like it just like spoke to me. You know?
Yeah. Come to my house. You'll play some resonator guitars.
Oh, nice.
You know, some.
Yeah, he sends me amazing songs all the time.
So, does it occasionally, because when you first started walking in with the ukulele to songwriting sessions, that set people off a little bit?
No, like you know, when I first started, I didn't even have a case or anything. I just was like, bring it in, and it was kind of casual. I think I might start doing that again, but yeah, sometimes, and now sometimes when I bring it, I think when people like know they're gonna write with me, for me, or just with me, they sometimes look at me like, so we're gonna write a ukulele song, and I just bring it. It's got like my case has my iPad and stuff in it, and it's like a habit, and it's like, and sometimes I just need to doodle around on it in the off times.
Sure.
You know, I'm not really looking to write it on the ukulele. I don't. However a song comes, I'm kind of open about it.
Yeah.
I'm not glued to any idea of how it has to start. I don't believe in that.
There's you know, so much of what you bring to your songs in particular, to my mind, happens on stage. And I think that's what was eye-opening to so many of us when we saw you 3 years ago was what you do to a song, with a song, on stage. And I'm wondering how much of that goes into your thinking as you're writing.
It does. I try to keep that away from that because I think it could lead you down the wrong path sometimes.
How so?
Just because I even lean on and I've done this, you know, where it's just like get to the money shot. That
The theatrics.
yeah. So I don't like to do that too much. I like to just get the song right more, but I still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think of that.
Because, you know,
It's an emotional bond to the song, knowing, like picturing delivering it to people.
because that's so much of who you are as an artist, to my mind, what you do on stage. I would suspect that you know, at some point has to factor into, you know, kind of how you think about a song, how, you know, perhaps how you
Yeah,
write it.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I'm interested. You've collaborated with all manner of great artists. You've written songs for terrific artists. I'm wondering if there's potentially a bucket list of artists, either with whom you would like to collaborate or someone that you would like to have them do a song of yours.
Shakira. I
I
would
teed that
love
up
to
for
be
you.
in a room
I
with
teed that up for
Shakira. Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I don't really sit around thinking about that. You know, I'd be like sitting around just fantasizing about
Shakira.
Yeah, like I just think I don't really worry about it. Like I just kind of, you know, I'm always up for the challenge of writing with someone. And to be honest with you, many of the songs that I've gotten cut with bigger artists they've not been in the room. So I don't really have a list.
Yeah, kind of. Okay.
But, yeah.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Quite all right. And I think we talked about this the last time you were here. Musicians in your family? Is there a musical background in your family?
My mom sang opera, but my dad was tone deaf. My grandfather knew one song that he thought was 12 songs, and that's about it, I think.
What do you?
He wrote a song.
Yeah.
He translated a very big Italian love song, so he was getting publishing for that for a long time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Do you? What songs do you remember? What do you remember hearing growing up that caught your ear?
I think just big voices. There was a lot of opera in the house. A lot of Maria Callas. A lot of Pavarotti and a lot of show tune kind of stuff, like Julie Andrews and stuff like that. That was, just clean voices that really could add a lot of range.
Yeah, the power of your voice is such that someone might think that you had formal training.
I did train a bit. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I studied at Carnegie Hall for a bit, and it was mostly, I have to say, but most of my studying has been just exercises and scales, and just that's how I got my voice into shape. Because when I was like touring a bunch and just really just doing a lot of, crappy kind of touring where you just like have to bang it out and a small club, then you have to be warmed up, otherwise you hurt yourself and then you can't sing. And I can't really sing, like my voice doesn't sound good when it's just getting more and more beat up. That's not really my style. Some people sounds great,
Yeah, that razor blades and formaldehyde sound.
But mine, that's not really my thing. But so yeah, I like to have my whole instrument to use.
Are you careful about that when you're on the road in terms of?
Yeah, I am.
How many nights in a row you'll perform? Things like that.
Yeah, that I don't. It's like how many nights in a row I'll drink.
Already then.
Which is none really. Like I can't really afford to like drink much. So.
The key to staying healthy on the road, don't do that. As you were getting into songwriting, so you've had somewhat of, for lack of a better term, kind of a stereotypical, in a certain way, don't take this the wrong way, music business experience, in that you've been signed to labels and dropped by labels, and kind of gone here and there where you could. And I'm wondering now, as you've had the chance to kind of gain some perspective on that, where you think, based on the changes that have been happening, where you think music is going. And I ask because it seems that and this is a really long question, I don't normally do this, but it seems that we're kind of heading back to almost that Brill building where singles and songs
it's like
matter.
I think even in the last 6 months, life has changed. Like suddenly, streaming is like really, that's what it is. It was iTunes, buy a single or illegally download a single or watch a video, and I think a lot of people are streaming now, and so it's constantly evolving, and it's one of those things that you can't. It's just, you have to move forward.
Yeah.
You keep pining away for the way it was, and you're screwed. And it's just boring.
Yeah.
It's like you just complain about it's not the way it used to be. Not what is.
Are you are you completely focused now on kind of the next projects, working on new stuff?
That's how I roll, man.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've been with this material for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited.
Yeah. I do have to ask you about a couple songs on this record, because one of them slays me consistently and has since I first heard it on the East West record. Levitator. Kills me. But I'm wondering if in between, the time you did it for East West and the time that it ended up on Forever for Now, Does that evolve? Do even, you know, the songs that you've got some history with over time, do they change?
Did they change? Well, I mean, I think this record, you know, some of the songs, it got more produced.
Yeah.
You know? And that was just a decision we all made, and that's the way we went. And I think some of them evolved a bit. I think some of them didn't change, you know? Some of them, maybe it was unnecessary to release them again as produced. I don't know. But I think you're always, even when you're playing stuff live, you know, it's evolving all the time. And then sometimes maybe you think too much about it, or you don't honor that its initial. That's why you said, like, some records that are made in a week or 2 weeks, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Do you try not to overthink stuff?
I wish I did.
No, really.
stuff.
Or do you tend to kind of grind on things a little?
What things?
Well, songs.
No,
just songs.
We're
just
above
songs.
board here. I'm not,
Yeah. Just songs.
songs. I didn't even mean it like that. I wasn't. Yeah, I guess I'll grind on a song. I don't know.
This is where the host becomes comedy fodder.
If it's worth it. If it's worth it, you know. I think I think I never finished learning my lesson not to, like, fuck with something that doesn't need to be.
Yeah. My favorite line about working in the studio, Neil Young once said, "If you're thinking, you're stinking."
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's
like
true. And I think that's what happens when, you know, you make a record, especially too. It's like, while you're making the record, everyone's thinking different things, including the artist, and sometimes, you know, maybe there is, like, just a lot of overthinking going on.
Yeah. Well, and in this case, you work with a producer who's got, Rob Cavallo, who's got a long and very successful history, and I'm sure he had, a sense about how he wanted you to sound.
Of course, yeah.
And that collaboration can be both, good and challenging.
Yeah.
What did you take away from working with Rob?
Just that, I think that he's just got incredible ears, and he's very, he understands sonics a lot, like that's like one of the things, like, he's so amazing at, and he's very good at just making stuff sound beautiful, like ear candy kind of, stuff, and recognizing songs, and he's one of the last of, like, the old school kind of, like, knows where to put all the mics, and kind of like a holistic producer, like he can do everything, and so yeah, I mean, I loved working with Rob.
Yeah, is that something that you would like to take on for yourself at some point?
Production?
Produce your own record.
I don't know. I mean, I do participate in that, and I would. I'm more of the ilk of the just how it's going to go down, stand in the room and understand, like, and get what I think it should sound like, because I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy that. I especially, enjoy, like, just the whole, like, putting a record together and understanding it. I'm getting to understand more and more what songs should go together.
Mm-hmm. Who do you listen to? Who are you listening to these days?
I've been listening to a bunch of stuff. I was listening to Jake Bugg a bunch on my travels.
Cool.
I met him when I was in England. I was listening to that record. One of those guys, Julia and Angus Stone, and a lot of old stuff, like, again, Roy Orbison, and just like Joni Mitchell. I've been watching this thing on YouTube, this old concert of hers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. I float in and out. I was listening to Charles Bukowski read poetry the other day. I listen to anything. I listen to my loved ones yammer away.
Well, talking to some other songwriters, sometimes I've heard that if they get stuck, or they're laboring on something, they'll go see a film, or read a book, and That kind
Yeah.
of gets them out of their head rather than listening to more music.
Totally. Sometimes that's where I'm at. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But and I always kind of like shrink up when someone asks me what I'm listening to. I'm like, "Rep, I don't know, nothing."
Well, do you find that because you do travel quite a bit and you know, overseas, do you find when you're going someplace that maybe you're trying to find out kind of what the local sound is or what's
Yeah,
going
like
on there?
being in England was like, you know, I don't know. I didn't actually go to see anybody play. I was supposed to go to V-Fest and I didn't go. I wasn't back in time. Once I was working with CeeLo out there, and I was supposed to go see him play and then see a bunch of people play. But I worked with this with some cool people out there. And I started just listening to some of the stuff that they were working on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's cool, like stuff that's not quite out yet and stuff.
Uh-huh. So, fair warning, we're going to ask for a couple questions from the house here in a couple of minutes. So you've been out in California now for a number of years, but you know, born and raised in New York. Is artistically, what's different about the communities?
I think that New York is not as welcoming, you know, like I think that New York is people and bands and scenes are more insular than out here. I feel like it's like, you know, like New York is cocaine and LA is marijuana. New York is like
Hold on. I want to write
all
that down.
sharky and like, you know, like get the fuck out of here. And LA is like, hey man, let's jam. That's what I think.
That may be the best description I've ever heard of
You can use it.
the difference between the two, and I will. So I have to ask you about because I'm so enamored of it, whistling. You are one of the relatively few artists who use whistling as a kind of melodic tool.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people do, but thank you.
I don't necessarily hear it a lot, but how did you come to it?
I whistle kind of when I'm shut off, you know, like when I'm just thinking about other things. In fact, sometimes some of my best like melodic ideas will come out when I'm not paying attention, when I'm like reading something else and just playing. That's kind of how Into the Wild, that whistle happened because I was just staring off into space, waiting for them to finish recording bass on there. And I just was like whistling. I started whistling that, and then everybody turned around and said, "What is that melody? Get it on there." And then that's where it started. And I'm whistling constantly, like through the day. Like that's what I don't really sing through the day. I just whistle.
Yeah. So, and speaking of Into the Wild, so there was, you know, this moment with the Citibank ad that sort of also kind of got a fair amount of attention there, to the point where I think people were Googling, you know, the rock climbing girl song or something and finding you.
Poor guys. It's like, who's that really hot girl that's climbing up that rock? Jesus.
I'm going to let that go. But I mean, it did sort of change the dynamic a little bit for you at that time, did it not?
Yeah, it did.
And you know, my sense is that when something like that happens, or when was the first time you actually heard the commercial or saw it?
Well, my publisher sent it to me, and I was like, I was just kind of shocked that it was like a wildernessy scene, and they didn't use Into the Wild. I just thought that was really wild. I was like,
it was somebody left the gate
they
open.
used somebody left the gate open? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not understanding that at all. But okay, it's great. I mean, I was happy either way. I just was like, you know, one of the many things that I don't understand in the business and the world in general.
The mystery of advertising.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So, between songwriting and being an artist on your own, is there one you prefer? I mean, would you rather just be a songwriter and have people making hits out of stuff you write?
I like both. I really do. I think one, I've said this many times, but I think one informs the other, and I think they're both inspiring. I think, and it's all the same basically at the end of the day. I have to write songs either way. That's my job on both sides.
Yeah.
Like I can't stop that. So that's.
Are there things that you've learned about your songwriting by hearing other people do your material, about your songwriting, about your
Yeah, I
approach?
think I'm gonna go with like what song to give away when I need to give away a song from now on, because I did like learn that like I don't always sound right singing some of my songs. You know what I mean? Like and I've known that, but like I'm gonna fine tune that a little bit. That's what I'd like to do.
Writing now we were talking earlier, you're already on to another.
Yeah, I'm
Kind of the
already
next project.
writing. Yeah, I mean, you have to be, and yeah, I am. I'm excited actually.
Cool. Well, we're equally as excited.
Cool.
Let's not make this 3 years. In
Yeah,
between
please. No,
visits.
trust me, you won't.
Because we love this. We love having you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
More
guys.
importantly, we want to hear you play and sing. So, ladies and gentlemen, LP.